عسلامة مرحبا بكم في حلقة جديدة من بودكاست شذرات اللي باش نطرحوا فيها مواضيع من مختلف المجالات ونستدعوا بحذنا ضيوف يبارتاجيو معنا الاكسبيرينس نتاعهم ونتعلموا منهم. دونك موضوع حلقتنا اليوم باش يكون اليو اكس ديزاين، وفرحانة برشا اللي باش يكون معنا سينيور في الدومين هذايا واللي هو انس ترادي. عسلامة انس.
عسلامة, merci bien pour l'invitation. Super excited, super happy to be here. شارة تتعدى سيسيون cool for you and for your listeners.
I'm sure باش تعدى حاجة باهي ان شاء الله. باهي انس، كانت نجم تحكينا اكثر على روحك والباك جراوند نتاعك، باركورك في القرايه كيفاش كان؟
Okay, so this is gonna be a long one.
Take your time.
So Anas TRADI, I've been doing product design for the past 7 years. In terms of how I started, البداية متاعي, I was always passionate about design. طول عمري مغروم بالديزاين, أما الجورني متاعي كانت exploration للconcept UX وحبيت نوصله en fait à travers les stages ou des projets, etc. ou des interactions que j'ai eues avec des experts. Initially, I did a bachelor degree in software engineering in بنزرت, donc ما قريتش الدومين, وهذه الحاجة زاد اللي صعبت شوية الديبار متاعي خاطر ما كانش فما accès للانفورماسيون كيف ما توا, يعني نوسيون يو اكس سورتو في تونس حاجة جديدة على الآخر. دونك في الديبار متاعي I had to do my homework. I had to find the right terminology, the right people, and to understand the field even more. So the one thing I studied that actually was close to user experience, module اسمها interface on machine, HMI, human machine interface. And it's basically UX design, but it was really watered down. يعني version ياسر ليجير من UX design. But for me, it was still helpful. يعني it gave me some general notions. But apart from that, I didn't study anything academically that helped me professionally. Apart maybe from project management, it was also helpful. So I started out professionally. I started out with an internship with invaluable in Benzart also. The fun thing is I started out as a development intern, but I switched it up into a design internship because my mentor at the time noticed that I was investing so much time working on interfaces. So he was like, okay, keep on doing that. Maybe it's just better that you invest your time doing interfaces. So that was the very first time I started to explore UI, user interface design. It was during that internship. أصلاً ذالي أول مرة سمعت النوسيون متاع UX وعطيك كلمة كترمينولوجيا. After that, I had my very first job, real job. It was actually the company upstairs from Mobile. It was Sydney Creative, and I worked as a visual designer for them. A visual designer basically تخدم لي support كل visual, يعني print, social media, branding, and UI. So it was also a really rich experience. However, deep inside, I still wanted to explore specifically user experience. Yani, okay, I can do everything, but what I really felt like doing was user experience design. And the reason for that is, so I had a passion for design, but I also had a passion for tech and for development. So I wanted to find something اللي يجمع الحاجتين. يعني I enjoy the artistic side of things, but that I enjoy working on a technical product. I enjoy the technical constraints and the technical environment that comes with the product. So for me, it was, UX was the sweet spot, or being a UX designer was the sweet spot between working on having the artistic vision, also working on a real project, also working with people. هنخدم مع العباد والانتراكسيون مع التيم وكل شيء. So it's something I enjoyed. And so that's how I got into it, or how I slowly locked on the user experience profile. Over time, or later on, I got recommended by a colleague that I worked with in Sydney Creative. So I worked in Sydney Creative like 8 months. A colleague who worked with me there recommended me in a different company. It was a German company called GmbH, and I started with them part-time. I really went all out with them because it was the first time I had a UX role, a UX designer role. So I really used that opportunity. It became a full-time position. And over time also I became a lead designer in the company. This is like on the span of 4 years. And then at some point I became interested in working more as a freelancer. So that's what opened the door for consultancy. So right now I'm a senior consultant, and I work actually with multiple clients at the same time. And Yanugo was one of the or Yanugo management actually helped me out, because they offered me clients they work with for me to work with as consultant. So some of which are BMW Group, MediaMarkt Saturn, Heidelberg Material, Canal Plus, and Heidelberg Materials, I mentioned them. So these are really interesting clients in Germany. So the fact that I used my network to reach these clients and to have really solid collaboration with them. So this is in terms of working full time, working filling positions. But in parallel of all of this, so in parallel, I was also doing heavy freelancing, personal projects, as in looking for projects online, doing online freelancing.
ديجا انت وقتها تقرا في الفاك يعني.
Actually, in terms of my my progress through my bachelor degree, I went through a couple of poses. So when I had the full-time position, I kind of went for the position and kept my studies on hold. And I had another pose when I went for Tunis, for working in Tunis, because my bachelor degree was in Benzart. So I actually took a couple of breaks in order to create time for these opportunities. But my first internship I did while studying. And then I tried to balance both, but it really didn't work out. So eventually, as I mentioned, in parallel to all of this, I was doing heavy freelancing and making sure that I learn in practice and more practicality. It worked for me better than any other method of learning, is to learn by practice.
ما كانتش صعيبة الاختيار متاعك من الأول للدومين اللي حبيت تكمل فيها؟
يعني
you didn't hesitate في الوقت هذاك باش تقول واو خليني نكمل في الدومين هذا خير من نكمل في الآخر؟
No, actually, the more I got into it, the more I saw in it. So I felt really comfortable. I felt like I'm having a lot of added value. I felt in my element, as simple as حسيت روحي في البلاصة اللي نجم نعطي فيها برشا valeur ajoutée. I was appreciated by everyone I worked with. I got a lot of positive
وهذه
feedback.
نجم تكون بالحق نصيحة للعباد اللي يقراوا في حاجة ويحبوا يعملوا حاجة أخرى. Go for it.
Yeah, exactly. You need to explore because you need to explore because not everyone is as lucky to know what they want to do from the first or second chance in life. They find out what they want to do like in their 50s or like their 60s or their 40s. So the more you try out things, the more you explore what works and doesn't work for you. And this goes for everything, by the way, for opportunities, for relationships, for like the more you get to know people, the more you know who's your type and who isn't. So yeah, I would recommend anyone to explore, at least do basic researches, try to touch a little bit of everything to have like a solid and concrete decision on what works for me and what doesn't.
به توا خلينا ندخلوا أكثر في let's get deep أكثر في ال UX. generally ديما نسمعوا UI UX ما نعرفوش شنو الديفرنس ما بيناتهم في الحقيقة. دونك تنجم تفسر لنا أكثر الفرق؟
So this is one of the longer discussions in the field, the difference between UI and UX. So UI is user interface. So whenever you interact with the product, the thing that you interact with is the interface. For example, if you're interacting or typing a text on your phone, your interface is the keyboard. So you're interacting with the keyboard. So the interface, it's the entity or the object or the part of the product that allows you to use it properly. The user experience is the whole feedback. So if you are typing a text on your phone, the feedback that you get as you do that, as you actually type the text, is the experience. By that I mean, did you do it easily? Was it complicated? Was it slow? Maybe the keyboard wasn't that responsive. Maybe you couldn't find a certain letter. Maybe you couldn't find emojis, for example. So anything that affected your experience or your feedback on while using the product is the experience. So when we talk about designing an experience, it includes the interface, but it's not only that. So it's all the different aspects. It's the behavior. It's trying to make it as positive of an experience as possible. So that's like the best case scenario of a user experience, is to create it, to make it as positive as possible, and to make sure that the feedback that the user gets is positive. So globally, I would say, or it's known that UI is part of UX. So the interface part is part of the experience, because you interact with the product, but you also see the product, you also have feedback on using and before using. So there are a lot of things to consider in the experience. But also there is a little misunderstanding or terminology issue, which is UX UI designer. And so you hear it a lot, UX UI design or UI UX design. Technically, the terminology it's not accurate or not really correct, because when you say UX designer, it automatically includes UI. So UX design automatically includes UI. So it's not very technically sharp. Yeah, it became ولات مو clé. That's the thing. ولات مو clé العباد الكل تستعمل فيها. So we use it as a norm. In theory, when you say UX designer, you automatically also include UI. Exactly.
بالنسبة للlearning process نتاعك كيفاش كان من الأول؟ يعني ديجا you mentioned قلت إنك بديت طول بالبروجي.
Yeah. For me, I'm a super competitive person, and I find it a lot easier to learn in practice and learn in a challenging environment. Therefore, when I first tackled the theme of UX design, I tried to go into freelancing early on, even without having the foundations. I just wanted to put myself with the best designers and see whether or not I can compete with them, and try to mimic their work, try to mimic how they present their work, their choices, understand why they choose this over this, why do they present their work this way, what's their thought process creating it, etc. So for me, that was way more efficient than just going theoretical. However, over time I went back to the theoretical part, of course, to make sure that I understand what I'm talking about and working with. But initially I pushed with practice. I learned as a practice. I tackled freelancing platforms. I went into freelancing platforms without even the consideration of money, by the way. I wasn't like thinking, okay, I'm going to make a life living out of this. I was just trying to improve. And
نجم نقولوا كانت كهوبي أكثر من إنك تخمم فيها كinvestment في المستقبل.
No, it's not that, but I meant specifically the freelancing part, the online freelancing part. يعني كي دخلت للبلاتفورم تاع الفريلانس en ligne, I just wanted to work on real life projects and also compete with the best designers. يعني money, of course, it's always in the discussion, but it wasn't my motivation. I knew that I was learning.
خاطر أغلب العباد توا كي يدخلوا الدومين، خاصة اللي جون توا يخموا أول حكاية كيف باش ندخل فلوس في الدومين هذا.
That's the wrong motivation, and that doesn't really take you far or into any field or any path in life, because money comes with expertise, money comes with growth, money comes as you get more value, because money is simply the compensation of the value of your time and your expertise. So the more of an expert you are, the more your time is of value for you and for other people. So money comes as you get better automatically. So you shouldn't set it as a start. It should be like part of the journey. Destination, sorry, but it should be like a part of the journey.
That's good. لهنا نسمعوا بترم آخر اللي هو الديزاين ثينكينج. اللي بون باش يسألوا توا شنو ديزاين ثينكينج. هو in order to become UX designer فما you need to think in a certain way. So لهنا كيفاش نجموا نتعلموا skill هذه؟
So design thinking, first of all, is a methodology of solving problems. If we take it to a really low level, it's how to creatively solve human-centric problems or customer-centric problems in other cases. So right now we're using this as the go-to approach to solving problems in UX specifically, because user experience, as is the word is self-explanatory, user, it's about the user. So it's really user-centric as user-centric approach. Therefore, design thinking is the go-to approach to solve user-centric problems. In order to learn it, actually, it's becoming a soft skill, by the way, to be fair. In the package of critical thinking and like problem solving, it's becoming a soft skill, even for those who aim to maybe go for opportunities internationally. Design thinking as an approach is becoming more and more like a must-know thing, because it's the go-to or the standard of problem solving within companies or within big corporations at the moment. And we're talking also its application on an agile environment, agile, Scrum Agile. So design thinking, you can learn it like academically. First of all, like there are plenty of certifications that you can get for it. Some of them are free. So there is IBM certification. I think it's free for the first level. I think HP has also, like HP Academy or something. It has a free certification. So you can actually explore it academically or get certified in it. You can explore it, have like a global research around it that also on the table, because the information is really accessible. However, whatever it is that you prefer, you definitely should pick it up as a skill. You should pick it up as a skill, because it's becoming more and more of a soft skill rather than just like an expertise.
كيفاش نجم تكون الديزاين ثينكينج يعني عاونتك في حياتك in order to get to the point?
Okay, so design thinking can be useful for you in different ways. So I'm gonna cluster this into three different categories. So as a student, design thinking, first of all, it will allow you to have a more methodological approach to anything project like that you work on. You will have a better structure, you'll have a better understanding, you can present researches, and you can have a better analytical approach to data, like data that you showcase. Any decision, or the word is make data-driven decisions in terms of anything that you present. It's also super useful in hackathons and competitions, by the way, because it's really like a solid way to pitch a project. If you have like followed a a human-centric approach to the product that you did, or a service, or whatever solution, it's easy to present it via the step or the flows of design thinking. Now, in terms of transitioning from student to a professional, definitely it's a valuable asset to have. It's a valuable skill. It can definitely elevate your CV, your profile from a bunch of people. It can make it easier for you to stand out as a student. Now, as a professional, design thinking will definitely make you more than just order receiver. Like you receive a certain task and you just deliver it, more than just an executor. But it will give you the ability to analyze and to also provide data-driven feedback and have suggestions, for example, to improve certain features. Have your own approach to maybe improving a product, and this could have you or make you invited to certain discussions that usually maybe developers aren't invited to. But this will open up the door for you to be there, to be part of that discussion, to be part of that panel of people that make the decisions, because you also have the ability to become a critical thinker, to solve problems efficiently, to have an opinion that is rooted in data. Now, as an investor or an entrepreneur, design thinking can help you eliminate a lot of the risk in an idea or concept you're trying to invest in, because it will help you study its chances of it's metrics, let's say. It will help you study it better. It will help you make again data-driven decisions about what you want to invest on, whether you are launching an idea or investing in one. It will definitely give you a more solid foundation to your investment, or to your startup, or to your concept, regardless, because it will either invalidate it or will confirm its value. So you will understand without losing a lot of resources, you will be able to solidify your idea, your investment, or your choice in general. So these are the three different aspects, as a student, as a professional, as an entrepreneur, investor, where design thinking can be useful for you.
دونك لهنا بالنسبة لعبد يحب يبدأ يتعلم اليو اكس ديزاين، generally اللي جايين توا ما يحبوش البروسيس نتاع انهم يبداو يقراو في التيرمز نتاع يو اكس ديزاين. دونك يبداو تور بالبراكتس. دونك is it good انه عاود يبدا تور بالبراكتس ولا لازم يتعدى بك ليتاب هذيك قبل؟
Okay, so this is delicate because I don't want to influence anyone because everyone learns differently. Everyone learns differently. But what I can say is it's a lot more accessible right now to learn UX than it was maybe 5 years ago or 6 years ago, because the information is there. So the information is there, the experts are there, and also the practicality is there. So whatever it is that you want to go to as a solution or approach to learning, it's available for you. I think the career that I had in 7-8 years is also obtainable today, maybe in 3 or 4 years, just because of that access to information. So if someone, okay, so this is the tip I would give to anyone who wants to learn UX. Start by trying to learn at least 10% on your own. Okay, 10%, 20% on your own, because that will give you a better understanding on, first of all, whether this is something you want to really learn. Second, you will understand the foundation of UX and you will know better like what are you getting into, because UX has a lot of profiles in it, like UX designer, UI designer, researcher, analyst, copywriter, auditor. Like there are plenty of profiles.
نسمع لهنا بترم آخر اللي هو
product designer. So it's a slight different. We can get to it right after this point. Remind me of it. So it's really important that you do a little bit of research and try to at least learn 10% on your own. I understand like some people need that mentorship, need that like this classroom environment, but 10% is really obtainable. And the reason why this is really important, as I mentioned, you'll have better clarity before you start investing maybe resources, money for boot camps and trainings. But also, let's say you signed up for a masterclass, right? So we went for a boot camp in order to learn UX design. It's a lot more feasible to take you from 30% knowledge to maybe 70% in a boot camp than it is feasible to take you from 0% to 30%. It's really hard to take someone from 0% to 30% if they lack the basic understanding of what they are trying to learn, because they may have issues in really basic concepts, for example, like image types, pixels, or like really basic terminology. So it's better for you to do that search on your own, understand the basics, so you can benefit more from the masterclass or the bootcamp. So in nutritional terms, I would say boot camps should be a supplement. They shouldn't be the main course. You should get your nutrients from your meals, and you can supplement from whatever it is that you need later on. And that's the same analogy I would say for learning. You should try to at least push a bit yourself, get more comfortable with the terminology, and then you can decide, okay, this is for me, this isn't for me. Understand also the job titles within it and make a more calculated decision.
باهي just حاجة بركة انك is it يعني كي تبدا ديزاينر ديجا وتتعلم في الديزاين is it useful في مش تبدا في دومين اليو اكس خاطر I don't think ما بالسيم ولا عندهم علاقة برشا
as a graphic designer. I think it helps you a lot, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you will be a better UX designer just because you are a graphic designer. Yes, it will help you. It will give you a push. It will give you an advantage. But if you don't use that advantage and learn in other areas, you can be a UX designer who has an ability to create really pretty interfaces, but you have really poor choices in terms of technical choices, or in terms of research. So maybe in that case, UI designer is the best case for you. UI designer is limited to just designing the interfaces. So they don't do the research, they just design. It could be a better profile. So if you're a graphic designer who are trying to transition, I would say start with UI. Start with UI and then make sure or try to explore whether or not UX is as an entirety is for you. It's easier that way. It's more feasible because UI is more digestible. You can learn UI a lot easier than learning the whole process. UI is patterns, its components, its visual elements, its colors, its principles. Like you can learn those and master them. However, UX globally, each product comes with a different experience, so you can't really learn user experience as a whole. You just learn the experience with a certain product or with a certain service or with a certain type of customers, but you can't really learn each and every case of products. So I will take this example. I've been working on a type of products for the past 7-8 years, like mobile web and some platforms, etc. But if you take me off of that and put me in a gaming development, creating the experience of video games, probably I would become a junior designer because, well, technically, but I don't have the expertise there. I need to relearn it. I need to create interfaces for games over time to become really good at it.
You need always to be up to date.
Exactly. Therefore, it's really critical to learn what you can learn, but also understand that there are things that take time. And so UI, if you are trying to transition, start with UI, and over time you'll start questioning the technical choices, and that's when you're gonna get more invited into the behind the scenes decision making, which is more UX oriented, like the research, the business goals, the conditions and constraints that make the product.
لهنا أول ما بدينا نحكيو you mentioned اللي أنت بديت في الفريلانسينج.
Yep.
باهي بالنسبة لعبد نقوله beginner level في ال UX design ويحب يدخل في يعني يلقى part time job ولا freelancing. شنو هو الكريتير اللي لازم تكون متوفرة فيه in order to get there?
Okay, so if you really want to find success as a freelancer, I would say you need to be visible. First, you need to be findable, you need to be visible. You don't necessarily have to be the best, but you need to be within the discussion, and you need to be findable. By that I mean you can be the best at what you do, but if people don't know you or can't find you, you won't have anything to do. For example, let's say you have an urgent need at home for some repairs, right? And the first thing or what you need is the closest available person who can deal with the problem. You're not going to look for the best in Tunisia. You're not going to look for the best who ever did it. Just who's the most available person that I know of. That's the mindset, or that's how freelancing works. Also, you need to be findable for people within your circle to go to you, to reach out to you when there are opportunities. I always say this to people, and this is something I learned the hard way actually. Freelancing is more about your network than it is about your technical skills. It's more about who you know rather than what you can do, because I remember when I was the best technically, like the peak, well, I'm still in my peak, but when it was like up to date in everything, each and every effect, each and every resource, each and every transition, each and everything, I wasn't really getting much work. And the reason for that is I'm not really that public person. So I'm kind of introverted-ish, and that doesn't really work well with freelancing. You really need to have social presence, especially in this day and age when that's part of your identity. So being not utilizing social media was probably one of my biggest mistakes. I always thought like if they need me they will find me. Yep. But it doesn't work that way. Like you need to be there as any other service provider. It's a competitive market. You need to have a network that will recognize you as an expert and will reach out to you with opportunities. And this is why also I always encourage people to have a LinkedIn profile, at least. Like if you don't want to utilize other social handles like Instagram, at least make sure you have a LinkedIn that represent the quality of your work and your service.
Donc لهنا if you want to sum up the steps اللي لازمك تعملهم in order to become UX designer. أعطينا هكا briefly steps اللي نجم نتبعهم.
I would say the first part, as I mentioned earlier, the UI part, understanding principles, UI principle, visual design principles, understanding like the assets that you're going to utilize, this different laws. Also, there are a bunch of laws of UX in general. So once you have a grasp on the visual aspect of things, then you're gonna move slowly into what's called what we call patterns. Patterns are different, a bunch of components, visual elements that we use to solve certain types of problems. For example, different menus, different types of navigations, different types of interactions. So now you're getting more into the experience part. You're getting slowly into the experience, and then here's the part where it depends on the product or what kind of product you're gonna lean into. You need to also dive deeper into the constraints of that specific problem, so or product. We're talking about response. We're talking digital, by the way, digital products for now. So responsiveness, for example, mobile, web, like whatever it is the case, it comes with its constraints. So you need to dive deeper. That's you can also expand in other areas such as design systems. Also, you can expand in areas such as information architecture. You need to get deeper into the process of how to collect and manipulate the data, testing techniques, research techniques. Books also here come into play to get even a deeper understanding of certain areas. So you basically patch yourself out based on the kind of profiles you're trying to become, or the profile you're trying to become, because it's not linear. Yes, there are steps, but it really deviates after UI and the laws of UX into what's the kind of profile you're trying to become, and your learning curve changes based on that. But what I would recommend is always to start with UI, because you will always be dealing with UI, and it will always be a solid foundation, understanding the principles, the assets, the color theory, for example, typography. So these things that you can learn and move on from.
اوكي حكينا بكريكا على اليو اكس ديزاين والبرودكت.
Okay. Yeah, the difference.
Yeah, the difference between them.
So actually, in terms of what they do, they're very similar. So a product designer and UX designer. However, the product designer has a tendency to lean more towards the benefit of the business. So by that I mean, they also they advocate the user, but they try to make the decisions that benefit the business, even if at the expense of what's best for the user, to an extent. So their loyalty is more to the business than it is to the user. They also have, well, relatively, it's not they're against the user, but they try to make the business work. They have also a little bit of intervention in terms of not only UX design, but also delivering the product, marketing the product. They have a bigger scope. However, UX designer is a relentless advocate for the user. So they could actually come against the company or against the business decision that is against user experience. So they are 100% advocating user experience or user-centric approach, and they get deeper into that area, especially in terms of data and research and everything. And they make sure that every decision that has been taken is for the interest or the best interest of the user, based depending on the company, but that's the general approach. But in terms of what they do, it's almost interchangeable in some cases. Just what they touch up on, I think a product designer touches up even more areas than the UX designer, but the UX designer pushes UX experience even more relentlessly.
That's so good. باهي لهنا باش نتعداو لاخر فقره عنا اللي هي فقره النصائح.
اوكي.
لان شنو اهم حاجات نجم تنصح بهم لجان خاصه في وقتنا توا حتى بعيده على الديزاين ولا يو اكس ديزاين.
Yeah, so this is gonna be a good one. So for the tips, I would say the first thing is you need to make sure that how you invest your time. And I know this sounds generic, but I can say this from a position that isn't so far from students right now, because I'm still really closer to the students than I am to maybe the adults. but I think looking back at things right now, how you invest your time can heavily affect where you go in life, the people you surround yourself with, the energy you spend on people. Sometimes you try to pick up a lot of people who don't really want to go in the same destination as you. It's draining, and that's a lot of energy and a lot of time that you are never getting back. And I know I'm sounding really generic right now, but trust me, this is a reality. I would say I've seen in myself, I've seen in people around me, people who could have been in a lot better places if they just focused on things that they really wanted to do instead of trying to pick up everyone with them. This is a invest like have clarity, make sure you invest your time in what you really want to do. Enjoy the learning process, enjoy this phase as a student. I think university in general offers a really good experience for people to learn outside of learning, like academically, to learn different skills, clubs, activities, events, hackathons. I think hackathons are one of the best opportunities for you to push yourself. For me, my best souvenirs in university come from hackathons and competitions, and I still participate in them whenever I can. Make sure you use this space, because this is the safest space you will have in your life to explore things. After this, every choice you make will impact your life heavily. So, for example, right now, you can join a bunch of clubs, you can get to know a bunch of people. If it didn't work out, you can just exit the situation. But this is something you can't really afford doing later on in life, because you can't really exit out of your work environment. You can't really exit out of like the small circle of people you know, because those are the people you know and people that are gonna be around. So you need to every decision you make, it's more has a bigger impact on your life. So enjoy this phase, enjoy the learning phase. Make sure you come up with a good network from university, from whatever environment you are at, because that network is more than likely will be the first to need your services in the future, to recommend you, maybe to collaborate with you. So make sure you come out with something out of university apart from your diploma, because your diploma, and again, I'm not one of those people, but I'm going to say that you can push the boundaries academically. There's definitely a market for that. You can be like 7 years, 6 years of studies in a certain field, and there is a market for that, of course. But also, you can have a diploma only or bachelor degree, and you can be in the same circle. You can be on the same table with those same people. So it's really not just about that. You can have the technical. So let's talk about this differently. Make sure you brand yourself with your best attribute. So if you are technically skilled, you can brand yourself with the technical skill. If you are academically skilled or academically advanced, or you have good grades, you can brand yourself with that attribute. Like, you can be more of a researcher, you can be more of an academic figure. So make sure you find your path in that. If you feel like studies aren't your best suit or isn't your best attribute, try to brand yourself and then with a different thing. Like, okay, I'm not good at this, but I'm a really good designer, I'm a really good artist, or so brand yourself with your best attribute, and don't let like studies or a diploma define where you at professionally.
صحيح، خاصة في تأثير متاع الأصحاب ساعات، ولا
Yeah.
تأثير العائلة متاع إنه نحب نمشي حاجة هكا
Bruh.
هذيك الكل
Yeah.
يأثر عليك ساعات.
Yeah, that's natural. I went through that also. My family wasn't really for my studies. In fact, my family wasn't for my first choice in itself. Like, computer science in itself wasn't really something my family was for, because it was something new, and this will always happen, by the way, because maybe for us right now, if we look at the younger generation, or if I look maybe at high schoolers right now, so people are considering careers in gaming, people considering careers in streaming, careers in content creation on social media, etc. Exactly. So it's always gonna be like a little offset between what we think is right and what the next generation thinks is right. So it's normal that you receive some pressure at certain areas, but if you really see the vision, if you really have the data to back it up, believe in your vision, and especially when it comes to this field, there's so much opportunities in Tunis, abroad. It's a really good career path. It's really rewarding financially, and it puts you on the same table with a lot of high-end profiles like management, development, research. So it's for me, it's a dream job, and for everyone who would appreciate it the same way, I think they will have a great time being a UX designer.
I'm so happy اللي الحلقة تعدت so smooth.
Yeah, same here.
خلي لك كلمة الختام.
So first of all, thank you for the invitation, for you and for everyone in the backstage. It was super smooth. Hopefully this was a light session. Hopefully it was informative. Of course, I will leave my contacts, and if anyone have any question about the field, anyone wanna reach out, wanna follow up on this, I'm always accessible on everywhere, and that's TRADI, LinkedIn, all different social handles. Always open for discussion. Me, and I'm pretty sure most of the UX experts are accessible also. So feel free to ask and get the information, get more vision, get more clarity. If you are like shaky about this, I'm pretty sure there are people who can guide you, give you the unfiltered opinions. Apart from that, I had a really great time, and maybe we can do this again.
Thank you so much, Anas.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.